Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode something really special, a timeless roadmap for change. It's this whole theory of transformation for you and for society, and it's been hidden in plain sight within an ancient text.
So the source we're diving into today, it makes this really compelling argument. It says that so much of what we experience every single day, the constant notifications, the endless scrolling, that pressure to always be buying something, it's not random. It's actually a carefully built system. And it's designed to keep us distracted, to keep us disconnected from what's really real.
And no, we're not talking about science fiction here. This matrix is described as a social and cultural thing. You know that little voice that's always whispering that your value is tied to what you own or how many followers you've got or just how busy you look? Yeah, that's the system. It keeps us plugged into this really shallow reality, a reality that, and I love this phrase from the source, feeds the ego and starves the soul.
Okay, so if we're all stuck in the system, how in the world do you break free? Well, according to this framework, the journey doesn't start with some big fight. It actually starts with a sudden, totally unexpected crack in the whole thing.
This first step is called the opening, or al-fath. And right away, you might think, oh, that sounds like some kind of military victory or a big political win. But that's not it at all. The real meaning here is so much deeper and way more personal.
See, al-fatah is really all about clarity. It's that moment the veil is just lifted. The best way to think about it is like a glitch in the matrix, right? It's that sudden, quiet moment when all the noise of modern life just stops. And for the first time, you see the illusion for exactly what it is.
So what can trigger something like this? Well, this so-called divine intervention can show up in all kinds of ways. It might be something super personal, a major life crisis, or that flash of insight you get when you're reading a profound book. But it can also be huge, a massive event we all share. Think about a global pandemic or a major economic collapse, something that forces everyone to stop and question the very reality we've been living in.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because what happens next is huge. Once that veil is lifted for just a few people, it sets off this incredible chain reaction. We're not just talking about one person unplugging here. This is about a massive, collective exodus.
The text puts it in this really visual way, and you see the people entering into the religion of God in multitudes. This is so important because it shows us that this awakening isn't some quiet, lonely journey. No, it becomes a visible, collective movement that you can literally see happening.
But wait, what are they entering into? When the text says the religion of God, it means something much bigger than just rituals. Think of it as a completely different operating system for life, one that's built on things like justice, real purpose, and an inner peace that noisy, shallow matrix could never, ever provide. So you see, people aren't just running away from something, they're actively running towards a whole new way of finding meaning.
So why in multitudes? Why does it happen all at once like that? Well, this mass exodus happens because of three really clear social dynamics. First, that shared illusion just shatters for everyone. Then you get the power of social proof. I mean, seeing other people wake up makes it contagious, right? And finally, all that momentum builds and builds until it hits a critical mass, and suddenly, leaving the matrix is the new normal.
All right, so the system is cracked. People are waking up left and right. This brings us to maybe the most crucial part of this whole thing. What now? How do you actually build something new, something that lasts, without just falling back into the same old mistakes?
Well, the framework gives us this brilliant two-part protocol for what to do next. It's a system of checks and balances for managing this new reality. And the analogy is perfect. Think of it like an engine and a rudder. You absolutely need both to get where you're going.
So the first part, Tasbeeh, that's your engine. This is the absolute antidote to getting stuck. It's a commitment to always be moving, always be taking constructive action with a higher purpose in mind. It's basically saying that the victory, the awakening, isn't the finish line. Nope, it's the starting line. Now the real work of building something better begins. You don't just stop, you build.
And then you have the second part, the rudder. Istighfar. This is so smart. It's a built-in mechanism for constant self-correction. It's having the humility to always be debugging the code of your new society, to relentlessly hunt for and remove any of those viruses, things like arrogance, corruption, injustice, that you might have accidentally carried over from the old system.
And let's be clear, Istighfar is not a sign of weakness. It's the complete opposite. It's the vigilant, active conscience of a healthy, thriving society. Because any movement, any society that doesn't have this built-in way to self-correct, well, it's pretty much doomed to repeat the exact same mistakes it was trying to get away from in the first place. And the whole framework wraps up with this really profound guarantee. It's captured in the concept of tawab, which means the ever-accepting. This is like a divine promise that as long as you stick to this protocol, constant forward motion and constant self-correction, the door to improvement is always open. The system is literally designed to get better and better. So when you step back and look at the whole thing, what you have is this amazing, complete 5-stage theory for real change. You start with the problem, the matrix. You have a catalyst, the divine opening that cracks the system. You see the response, a mass awakening. You get a practical method, that protocol of motion and correction. And it all comes with a powerful guarantee, the promise of constant renewal.
So in the end, this ancient framework is doing more than just asking us to see the illusions out there in the world. It's challenging us personally. It's asking us to listen for the cracks in our own code. You know, those little glitches in our day-to-day reality that might be trying to get our attention. And it leaves us with the big question. What will it take for us to build a more authentic world, starting right here with ourselves?